Young Mie Mie rushed to hospital after twins show early signs of complication. Yulong seen breaking down outside hospital gates as security blocks press from entry. Just when the world had begun to fall in love again with the story of young Mie Mie and Yulong, fate delivered a terrifying new chapter, one filled with fear, urgency, and heartbreaking silence. On what was supposed to be a peaceful afternoon, young Mie Mie was suddenly rushed to a private hospital in the Scottish Highlands after her unborn twins began showing unexpected signs of distress. The serene quiet of the lakeside retreat, where she had been staying with Yulong, was shattered by the sound of emergency dispatch, hurried footsteps, and the flashing lights of a black SUV pulling up the gravel path. Eyewitnesses report that Yulong carried her himself, refusing to wait for the full medical team to arrive. She was pale, weak, trembling, and still trying to whisper that she would be fine. But her voice was too soft to calm the panic around her. What happened before the call? According to an exclusive source inside the retreat, the morning had begun like any other. Young Mie had walked along the garden path, hands resting gently on her belly, while Yulong followed just behind her, humming the lullaby he had composed weeks earlier. They were scheduled to finalize details with their wedding planner later that day. But by noon, something changed. She began complaining of sharp abdominal pressure, then dizziness, then silence. Within minutes, she could no longer stand. Yulong called for help while holding her against his chest, and when her eyes began to flutter shut, he reportedly whispered over and over, "Stay with me. Please stay with me." The security team cleared a path while the house staff prepared her medical documents. But Yulong refused to let anyone else lift her. He placed her in the back seat of the SUV and sat beside her, gripping her hand the entire way. The drive took 32 minutes, but to him, it felt like forever. Lockdown at the hospital. By the time they arrived, the hospital had already activated a private code reserved for celebrity patients with critical conditions. Entry points were sealed. Non-essential personnel were cleared. Windows on the east side of the maternity floor were covered in blackout cloth. Yulong was seen pacing just outside the emergency entrance, surrounded by 5 security guards and 2 nurses. His head was down, his hands pressed to his face, refusing to speak to anyone. He remained that way for almost an hour. And then, just before sunset, he collapsed into one of the hospital benches and wept openly. Something he had never done in public before. Doctors rushed in and out of the secured ward. And still, no word. The official medical report. At 6:47 p.m. local time, a spokesperson for the hospital released a statement. Short. Careful. Cryptic. Young Mie Mie is currently under observation. The twins are being monitored closely. We are responding to an acute episode, but remain hopeful. The term acute episode was enough to send fans into a frenzy online. Some began praying. Others speculating. Some demanded to know what was happening. Others simply posted her name with a single heart beside it. But behind closed doors, the truth was more complex. A diagnosis no one saw coming. According to a high-level hospital informant, the twins had entered a temporary but dangerous state of fetal stress, likely triggered by a combination of emotional exhaustion, sudden movement, and pressure on one side of the womb. Young Mie had reportedly slipped on a garden step 2 days prior but assured everyone she was fine. Doctors now believe that minor fall may have begun a silent ripple that grew more dangerous by the hour. Both twins showed irregular heart rhythms for several minutes, then reduced movement, then faint signs of oxygen fluctuation. But thanks to immediate intervention, they stabilized by nightfall. Young Mie remains under full sedation, monitored by 3 specialists. Her room is heavily guarded, and her pulse remains steady. Yulong's silent war. Friends close to Yulong say he has not eaten in nearly 24 hours. He remains in the hospital, refusing to leave her side. He sleeps on a cold leather chair in the hallway, with his head against the wall and his phone turned off. When asked by a nurse if he wanted anything, he reportedly replied, "I only want to see her eyes open again. Everything else can wait." According to insiders, he has also postponed their wedding indefinitely, telling his team, "There will be no vows until she can walk again without help." Public reaction, an ocean of emotion. The internet has erupted in a storm of reaction. Fans from across the globe are pouring in support, prayers, and heartfelt messages. One post reads, "She carried a legacy inside her and still smiled through the weight of the world. Let her rise again." Another, "If love can heal, let Yu Long's love bring her back." And another, "The world doesn't need another film. It needs her heartbeat steady and her babies safe." What happens next? Doctors say the next 72 hours are crucial. Young Mie will remain on oxygen support, fluids, and fetal monitoring. If any complications return, an emergency delivery may be necessary far earlier than planned. But for now, there is hope. The twins have resumed movement. Their pulses have evened out. And one nurse whispered that she felt a tiny kick during the last scan. Young Mie has not spoken yet. But her fingers reportedly moved this morning when Yu Long leaned in and whispered, "I am still here." He repeated it, over and over, until her hand moved again. A story still unfinished. This love story has not been easy. It has been tested, torn, rebuilt, and now, held together by sheer will. What began as a scandal, then a shock, then a quiet vow, is now something sacred. Not just between them, but for all who have watched them fall and rise again. As we await her full recovery, and the safety of the two lives growing within her, one thing remains clear. This is no longer about fame. No longer about headlines. This is about life, and the people brave enough to fight for it, even when everything feels like it is slipping away. Stay strong, Young Mie. Stay strong, Yu Long. The world is waiting for your next chapter. And this time, let it be peace. Let it be joy. Let it be home. Yu Long refuses to leave young Mie Mie's hospital room as doctors fight to keep twins stable. The silence in the hospital corridor has become a character of its own. For the past 24 hours, Yu Long has not left the maternity intensive unit. No cameras. No stylists. No distractions. Just a man sitting beside a fragile love and a pair of lives still forming beneath monitors and whispers. After the terrifying emergency that left young Mie Mie sedated and clinging to stability, fans across the world were left breathless with fear. But behind those closed doors, something far more raw was unfolding, a man facing the weight of everything he almost lost. Her eyes finally opened, but she could not speak. According to an exclusive hospital source, young Mie briefly regained consciousness in the early hours of the morning. A nurse noticed slight finger movement first, then a gentle shift of her head. Moments later, her eyes opened slowly, searching the ceiling as if waking from a heavy dream. Yu Long, who had not slept or moved more than a few steps from her bed, immediately stood up and took her hand. Witnesses say he leaned in close and whispered her name over and over, his voice cracking with every word. She looked at him. She blinked. But her lips did not move. Doctors later confirmed that she had not yet regained full motor control, and her vocal cords were temporarily weakened by the sedation and trauma. She was awake. But her voice had not returned. Still, that one look, that one fragile connection between them, shattered Yu Long completely. According to a nurse, he broke down right there, holding her hand to his lips as he whispered, "I am here. I never left. And I am not leaving until I carry you out of this place myself." Doctors still on edge, twins show mixed signals. While young Mie's condition has begun to stabilize, the twins remain in a delicate balance. A team of specialists, including a fetal cardiologist and a neonatal neurologist, have been monitoring the babies closely. One twin, nicknamed Star by Staff, shows steady improvement. The second, called Cloud, still presents slight irregularities in heart rhythm and movement patterns. Doctors have increased oxygen therapy, nutrition through 4, and emotional shielding, ordering strict silence in her room and zero electronic interference. Young Mie's body remains under incredible pressure, and any further strain could trigger premature labor, a risk the medical team is determined to prevent at all costs. Her chart has been marked with a red tag. It means high alert. It means no mistakes. A private moment that moved even the nurses to tears. Last night, long after the visiting hour had ended, Yu Long was granted 10 minutes of privacy with young Mie, a request approved by her personal physician after he refused to leave her side for more than a full day. He brought in a small notebook. It was the same one he used in rehab, filled with songs, sketches, and handwritten thoughts about their future. He opened it to a single page. On it was a message he had written weeks ago, unsure if he would ever get to read it aloud. But now, with her eyes open and the silence between them more sacred than ever, he read it slowly. If we survive this, I will marry you with my whole heart. Not for headlines. Not for redemption. But because I have never wanted anything more than a life where I get to wake up beside you and our children, knowing we chose each other even when the world told us to walk away. Young Mie's eyes filled with tears. One rolled down her cheek. And for you long, that tear said more than any word ever could. Outside pressure and the fans who will not leave. Meanwhile, the outside of the hospital has turned into a quiet storm. Reporters, fans, and online bloggers have stationed themselves nearby, though security has cordoned off the entrance. Several fans gathered in silence last night, lighting candles and holding up signs that read, "Stay strong, young Mie," and "We are praying for the twins." One fan handed a nurse a soft handmade blanket with 2 stars embroidered into it, a symbolic gift for the unborn children who have already captured the world's heart. Though the couple's publicist has refused to release any official statements, one anonymous friend told a journalist. Yu Long is not thinking about the cameras right now. He is thinking about how to hold together the only family he has left. Cancelled plans, new promises. It has been confirmed that the wedding, previously scheduled for the coming month, has been officially postponed. The couple reportedly made the joint decision before young Mie's collapse, stating that their focus must now shift entirely to healing and protection. But what is surprising is the news that Yu Long has written a new vow, one that he says he will only speak once she is able to walk again. It is longer than the original, rawer, and filled with things he never thought he would share. In it, he promises not just loyalty but legacy. He promises to let go of fame, pride, and old pain. He promises to make their home sacred, to become a father his children will be proud of, and to never let young Mie feel alone again. "I was silent once," he wrote, "but now I will be the voice that reminds you, every day, that you are loved beyond reason." What happens next? Doctors have advised that the next 48 hours are still critical. Young Mie's body must continue to stabilize. The twins must remain calm and safe. Any spike in stress, emotion, or physical movement could risk everything. For now, no visitors are allowed. No phones. No questions. Only hope.